Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adrian Cox-Settles, and I am an author, a math specialist, a test strategist. That means I help people pass tests. And I am the owner of a tutoring business called Diverse Interactive Learning Tutoring Center. Now, a little known fact about me is that my female Muslim students, high school students, made history in 2014 when they came in the top positions in a math competition at Morgan State University. As a result, I was named the Outstanding Teacher of the Year by the National Technical Association. And my story was published in the Muslim Link newspaper. I was so excited. Female power, yay! Because females can do math too. Now, I am here to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is mathematics. Did you hear me? Mathematics. Yes, I love math. When I hear the word mathematics, ooh, I get a chill of excitement because math is such a wonderful word. And you can do so many things with it. There's so much to explore. It's just unlimited possibilities when you think about the word math. So, my talk is going to be all about math today. Now, math is a universal language, so a person from America can communicate to someone from Africa and vice versa, and so on and so forth. Everyone has to know how to do math. Now, there's different strategies to get to the answer, but it's a universal language. Everyone has to do fractions, everyone has to know how to do decimals, and so on and so forth. Now, with math, math is the study of patterns, quantity, structures, counting from basic math to like theoretical geometry. I mean, it's unlimited possibilities when you're talking about math. It's very essential for building structures, for exploring space, developing medical treatment, so on and so forth. I can go on and on and on. One of the main things are math teaches logical thinking, problem solving skills, and pattern recognition. So the better you are with math, when you see something occurring over and over and over again, it'll help you to think, maybe I shouldn't do this because this has been occurring over and over and over again. Those critical thinking skills, you get those increase the more you get better in mathematics. So don't take math for granted because being good in math can really help help your life, can really help your life, help you to get a really quality life, and help you to eliminate things that you're not supposed to do. Okay. Now, math is essential in all different fields, life skills, like we spoke about before, the STEM field, decision making when it comes to every single subject. Decision making is really important, and the foundation of that is being able to have critical thinking skills and mathematics. Now, because Islam has a strong emphasis on seeking knowledge and learning in the world around us, math is the perfect tool to use because it assists in logical reasoning, critical thinking, and problem solving skills. So math works perfect in Islam. It works perfect in Islam. Islam is a perfect religion. And so math is one of the tools that's used to calculate certain things. And now when we talk Islam, what's mathematics? I'm gonna give you things like the calculation of the prayer times, the calculation of the fasting period, when the fasting period occurs and ends, the calculation of zakat, the determination of the direction of Mecca and degrees, using the compass, inheritance laws, How much do your daughter get? How much do your son get? Um, Islamic architecture, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many things that are calculated, that are very precise, very accurate in Islam, and it's done by math using the tool called math. So math is very, very important. And some of these things we don't think about it, but it's very mathematical. Okay. Now, in Islam, we have a lot of Muslim mathematicians and scientists, and that have contributed that have contributed to mathematical inventions and things like that, and subjects also as far as algebra, geometry, trigonometry, physics, engineer, astronomy, and it goes on and on and on. So we are making advancements. We have made them in the past, and we are continuously making advancements in mathematics in the stems. And math is so important. It's so important. The math has to be done correctly if you're building a bridge. Just think about civil engineering and all those wonderful things. So it's very important that we continue to go into the STEM fields, as Muslim. It's very, 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 very important. Now, in America, the math scores have gone down tremendously. And so today, what I want to do is show you some stats. I'm going to show you some stats from the NAEP, which is the National Assessment of Educational Progress. I'm going to show you their report card. Now, once I show you their report card, it's only going to discuss the fourth and the eighth graders, okay? The fourth and the eighth graders, because the fourth and the eighth graders are at a very crucial transitional point. At this time, they have covered some very important foundational skills. And when the next grade that they go to is going to be more advanced, complex topics. And so it's very important for us to know at this point, where they're struggling. And so, so that things can be reinforced. So the kids can be tracked. So the admin and the teachers can put things in place to help increase the rate of the passing rate, help the kids to understand what's going on in math, and so that at this point you can kind of determine what careers they're going to go into. And so if someone's not doing too well, they might say, well, if they don't get the help that they need, then we can see they might be on this level versus that level. So when I show you the stats, it's going to talk about fourth and eighth grade, because like I said, those are the crucial transitional points where at that stage we can see what's going on and get in and do and try me and screen so that you can see the stats. All righty, let's see. In a second. All righty, let me see. Okay. All right, here we come. Here we go. Here we go. Oh. Okay. Now, as I stated earlier, this is the national report card, okay? The national report card, which is the NAEP report card. And this is for the year 2022, okay? Now, like I said, we're going to talk about fourth and eighth grade. They have the nation, the states, and the district. I'm only going to talk about the state stats for now because I don't have a lot of time. So let's go down. It says the largest scores decline in the NAEP mathematics at grade fourth and eighth grade since the initial assessment in 1990. Okay, so we have one graph here. And what I want to do is go to a table. So we're going to look at fourth grade. I'm going to click on states. And I want to click on the table. Okay, so these are the states. And the diamond shape represents, it's not a significant change. So maybe a few points, okay? Or if any. Now, the down arrow means decreasing by a certain amount of points. Now, we're comparing 2019, with COVID, to 2022, okay? So You do expect a lot of decreasing to occur because with COVID, there was a lot of transition going on. The kids went online, teachers had to transition, the curriculum was switched. Had to switch the curriculum. There was a lot of disruptions going on, and so it really affected the way how the scores went. So let's look at this. You have Alabama, they say pretty much the same. 230, 230 is the same. Alaska went down by 6. California went down by 4. Well, it's supposed to be, it's 5. Well, 30, 235 and 230, say 4, but it's supposed to be 5. And let's go down to the District of Columbia. They went down by 12. Florida went down by 5. Let's look at Kansas, went down by 4. Maryland went down by 10. Big jump. Let's jump down. Let's jump down. New York went down by 10. New Mexico went down by 10. None of these went up. It was either a small decrease or a larger decrease. I guess or 3 or more, I guess, decrease. And let's look at Virginia. Virginia was 11-point drop. Okay, so these are the averages. What we're looking at are the average scores that decrease for the fourth graders. We're looking at the fourth grade state scores from 2019 to 2022. Now, of course, there were some kids that were the outliers, which means they stood out. Some kids' scores did go up, okay? So, but this is the average of all the kids together. Overall, kids went down. However, there were kids here and there that did go up. There's always kids that did go up. Whether they're getting tutoring, whether their parents are putting in extra work, or whether they're just picking up things, easily. There's a lot of reasons why the other kids could be increasing. Like I said, good study habits, parents, influence from the parents, or it can just be different things that some teachers might have put in place. There's a variety of different things why some kids pass, whereas others don't. But some kids like consistency, and with COVID, there wasn't consistency. So parents or teachers had to intentionally put consistency into the learning in order for the kids to understand and learn those concepts and put those prerequisite concepts and add them on to more. Okay, so let me go up here real quick. Let's go to the 8th grade scores. Let's look at the states. Let's go to the table. Same thing, 2019 to 2022 for 8th graders. Now, 8th grade, the average 8th grader probably in pre-algebra. There are some advanced 8th graders that have taken Algebra 1 already. And so they have standardized tests that they can take and pass. And then when they go to 9th grade, in the high school, they are already working on Algebra 2 and geometry pretty much at the same time. So they can be an advanced track. Honors students can get AP classes and everything before they graduate. So if you're trying to get your kid ahead of the game, see if they can take 8th grade, see if they can take Algebra 1 by 8th grade, you're successful in it. So when they get to high school for 9th grade, they're taking Algebra 2 and geometry. Pretty much, they pretty much group those together. Okay, now, look at this. Alabama went down by 4 points. Let's jump down. Louisiana went down by 6. Minnesota went down by 11. New Jersey down by 11. This is 8th grade. West Virginia went down by 12. Okay. So like I said, it's very, 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 very important for us to understand where the 8th graders are, because in 9th grade, the average 9th graders are taking Algebra 1. And in 8th grade, they learn all of those pre-algebra skills. They're learning about sign numbers. They're learning about expressions. And they're learning some of the terminology like the coefficient and the exponents and, things like that, prime factorization. They normally learn that more than likely in elementary. But it's just so important for them to understand integers, negative and positive, and what to do with that, and order of operations. It's really important for them to understand that, so when they get to Algebra 1, they won't struggle. Because if they struggled in anything before, Algebra 1 is going to pick up, whether it's multiplication, decimals, fractions, because once you get to algebra, everything is thrown into. They're going to throw you some fractions, some decimals, some sign numbers. Everything is in algebra. So if you have weaknesses, it's going to show in algebra, you know. And plus in algebra, it's all about the equation, making sure that both sides are equal. So you have to understand the prerequisite skills so that you can get it, so you can get to the point, so you can solve the problem and it can make sense. You go back and you check and all those wonderful things. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing here. All righty. Let me hurry up because my time is limited. Yes. So as I said before, um, it's just really important well, third grade is extremely important also. It's extremely important also. So don't just wait till your child get to fourth grade. But they do at that point do a fourth grade report card to determine where your child is. So some interventions can go into it and they can compare and do things to help them before they get to the more complex advanced subjects. Okay, so but overall with the stats is always an achievement gaps between the black students and the Hispanic students. They tend to score lower than the white students and the Asian students. So that's something you have to pay attention to. And there's a lot of factors why the black and Hispanic students could be scoring lower. A lot of times there's a cultural conflict in the teaching style. A lot of times there is a relationship problem when you're dealing with African Americans tend to be more communal, and we are connected to relationships. So if the teacher doesn't have a good relationship with the student, that definitely can impact the student wanting to learn from the teacher. So it's very important for teachers that are teaching African American students to build that relationship so that that student will feel comfortable with connecting with you, because you have to build a relationship in order for the child to learn from you, because the child has to give you permission in order to teach them. You can't just put information inside of the child. The child can just push it out in one ear and out the other. It's not that the child can't get it. You're not the person that the child wants to get it from, because maybe you don't have patience with the child, or um, maybe you don't know what you're doing, but it's good to understand the culture of the kids that's being taught, and it's good to respect the culture, and it's good to build those relationships, because it's like tug of war. If you don't like the child would know that, and then the child can totally say, whatever you're teaching me, I'm not going to learn it. And it's just that they shut down. It's not that they can't get it, if they don't want to get the information from you, because they don't feel safe with opening up and allowing you the permission to teach them. So it's not all about putting information in, because once the child doesn't want to receive the information from you, they will not take it from you. So you have to work hard to build that relationship. And there's nothing wrong with the child. A lot of times it's the person that's presenting the topic sometimes have a limited strategy. And in math, there's so many different avenues to teach a person. And if you're not getting through to the person, then a lot of the times you're teaching a person the wrong way, that they can pick up. People have different learning styles. So you have to learn how the child learns best. You can do a learning style inventory and things like that. And then once you learn that the child learns this way best, you can learn strategies that go with it, and intentionally, teach the child based on that. Because everyone's not a visual learner. There's a lot of kinesthetic students going around. And so you might have to make the lessons more interactive. Elementary school kids should not be sitting in the chair for hours without moving. And they shouldn't be getting penalized because they want to move. Children naturally have energy that needs to be used. So teachers need to understand that. Okay. Coming from me, I taught for decades. I taught fourth grade all the way to college, every grade in between, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way up to college. So I understand the mindset, the psychology of children for each grade level. And, there's so many strategies, and I have a website, and you will see all my information that you can use. I have videos and everything else. But it's just really important that we understand who we're trying to help, because if we feel that the person can't learn, then they will act like they can't learn. Okay. And so now what I would like to talk about now, people, like I said, people struggle a lot. There has a lot of different factors. I talked about the learning differences. Math anxiety comes when you have like a teacher or a parent that's too stern and they're trying to force you to learn the way they learn. Everyone doesn't learn the same way. So some of these parents and some of these teachers are really causing the children to have math anxiety. I have a video about that on YouTube and so on and so forth. Like I said, learning style preferences. Some kids are kinesthetic, so they need to move around, they need to touch things. When you tell them to stop, you stop their thinking, because it's a movement to brain coordination thing, movement to brain. So if someone is reading and they're walking and you tell them to stop, then that's how they were focusing. And then they just stop and they just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Motivation. Some kids are really motivated, some are not. And so if they're not motivated, then you have to try to reach them intrinsically. Try to find out what they like. If they like a certain video game, learn about the character, learn about the math into it. There's always math in video games. There's math in everything. You have to be creative. Now, ineffective teaching methods. Like I said, if you have a diverse set of children, you need to use differentiation. You need to have different levels of teaching, simpler problems for some, medium problems. You need to always have advanced problems for the ones that are really advanced, because they get tired easy. You can't just keep using the advanced students to go back and help the kids that's on the lower level. They need to be challenged also. Lack of individual support. The kids that's on the lower level, they do need some extra time and as extra processing time, and rushing them is not helping them. They need time to actually process what's going on. And once they're able to get it, it makes sense. But being rushed and it doesn't make sense in math, everything is building on top of each other. It just doesn't make sense. And every year that child's going to continuously have the same problem. And then, of course, there's some social, economic factors. Some kids might not have certain technology, certain books, might not be exposed to certain opportunities. So that can affect someone versus someone else that has all the resources. So we have to see that everyone's taking the same test, but everyone hasn't started on the same level. And so there's going to be some disparities in some things. So if we want things to be fair, we have to make sure that everyone has resources. Everyone has good teachers. I used to be a math department here. I taught teachers how to teach. Every teachers need to be trained on how to teach. You can't just go in the classroom and expect to teach. You have to know how to differentiate. You have to know how to see where the child is and build them up, facilitate their learning. Instead of teaching them, facilitate their learning. Because the kids don't have they're not an empty shell. Their own ideas, their own prior knowledge. And the only thing they need is to have someone that's patient, that actually care, and any child can learn math. Every child can learn math, given the opportunity of someone that really cares to have them help them with math. You have to be very vulnerable when it comes to math. You have to make mistakes and feel comfortable with making mistakes. And if you feel that making a mistake is a crime, it's going to be hard for you to be successful in math, because math is built on top of mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. And that's how you get to be a really good math person. I'm an excellent math person, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I continue to make a lot of mistakes. And that's okay. I'm going to laugh about it. I'm going to go and fix it. But the person has to have that confidence. You have to be able to open up and do things like that and feel comfortable with it around someone that you can make mistakes with. If you can't make mistakes in math, you can't grow. Mistakes is a big part of being excellent in math. And if someone that's teaching the child doesn't understand that, that's where, that's why things are decreasing, and that's where we are failing. Now, parents, with this new math going on, they call it the new math. Now, parents are struggling because they're not familiar with the different concepts. the Common Core math. There's so many different strategies we have. It's not just the old algorithm, when you carry the one and then you put down the zero. Everyone doesn't think that traditional way, and it's really hard for most of the kids today to think that way. Now, some kids will pick it up, but some kids like the rectangle method, or some kids like partial product. There's so many different ways to multiply, except again stuck in one way when you feel like a failure. When there's so many different paths, they get the answer. So this new math is showing parents that there's um different ways to come up with a solution. And I also have a video. Myself and my fourth grade son years ago did a video on the new math with multi-digit multiplication and division. So, because I taught fourth grade at that time. And so parents just have to get out of their shell and, being stuck in the past. Things are changing rapidly. Kids are thinking differently and they need to have options. We had one way we would do multiplication. They have so many different options. And so they shouldn't just be forced into one option. And some of them, no matter what you do, will never get that one option. And it's not the child, that's not the method that makes sense to them. And sometimes the parent can't explain why they put the one and create the zero. These kids need to know why. And if you can't explain, just say because I said so, that's not good enough for them. They need to know why. You need to be very strategic. What's going on? Like I said, the different approaches, the new terminology. Um, there's so many things. Some parents lack confidence. Okay, now there's some stereotypes too when it comes to math. Now, some people believe that math is only for geniuses. And no, that is not true. A lot of people that are really, or many people that are really good at math started out with making a lot of mistakes, and they got to the point where they mastered some of those skills. It made so much sense. And a lot of times you don't see the people at the top that's good at math. You don't see their mistakes. But believe me, there was a lot of mistakes to get to where they are. There were a lot of mistakes. And you have teachers, you're going to see teachers making mistakes at the board. We're only human. We're going to make mistakes. And math, you're going to make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, I don't even know, you shouldn't even have to go to class if you're not making mistakes, because you're not growing. You know everything. You don't need to be in class. So I encourage mistakes. I clap when my students make mistakes. I'm like, okay, we can discuss that now. Okay. So please encourage mistakes, whether you're a parent or whether you are a teacher. This is the moment to stop and analyze, because a lot of times each year the kids are continuously making the same mistakes. And I sit at the board and I just wait for the person to ask the same question or make them the same mistake, because they do the same thing every year. Same mistake, different student. So obviously, somewhere, in some grades, it has to be in the teaching, while all these kids are making the same mistake each year. It's not just the kids. A lot of the things are not being presented to where the kids have a strong foundation, so those mistakes are not made. And so we all need to work on that. Now, sometimes they say math is boring and irrelevant, which is not true, because math is you have to have so much fun in math. Math is flexible, math is free. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to race it, you're going to go on. And it's very important for the person to come into their own math thinking, not trying to put them to how you think. You're not going to be with them when they go and take the SAT, the ACT. You're not going to be holding their hand. They have to be able to have critical thinking skills and pull from what they know and what makes sense. So they should not be carbon copies of the teacher, and they should not be carbon copies of the parent. You have to facilitate the understanding that they have and try to push them further based on where they are. We want individuals. We don't want, homogeneous people. Everyone looks the same, talks the same, walk the same, laugh the same. We want everyone to be able to contribute in a different way. All the differences is a beautiful thing. And of course, math is not only for boys. Because like I said, I am good, and I have been good at math, and I would compete with the boys in a math competition. Of course, there were more boys. But like I said, my students made history. They were female Muslim high school students, and they came in the top positions. So based on that alone, that's showing you that females can do math also. And like I said, I can do math too. Females, it's a lot of females that are good at math. I have teachers that I've worked with, quote, colleagues and everything that were good at math, and it feels good because the majority seem like the majority will be the males, but we are excellent in math also, and we are very competitive. Okay. And math is not just about memorizing formulas. You have to conceptually understand, because sometimes under stress, you're going to forget the formula. But if you're able to recreate in geometry, if you like, oh my goodness, I forgot the perimeter formula. If you're able to draw the shape and remember you have to add all the sides, then you can go through and add all the sides instead of remembering P equals 2L, plus 2W. You can like, oh my goodness, I just go in and add the signs. So math is more than memorizing formulas. Math is actually understanding what's going on if you don't have a formula. Okay. Now, those are the stereotypes about math, which are not true. Now, in some cases, you might see it as being true because that's the way some people present math. But I'm here to tell you that is not true. And the more that you know that, the more comfortable you will be with actually trying to get the math. You have to be courageous when it comes to math because you're going to make mistakes. It's going to seem scary. But once you get past it, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. As soon as you know, you're like, wow, you're really good at math. But you have to take chances in math. You have to fail in math. And once you do that, you will be okay in math. Okay, so like I said, I have a video on math anxiety. You can look into that. Um, there's no perfect way to teach math. One teacher might teach it this way, but within the classroom, the teacher should have different strategies of how you can get it. If the teacher is not, a lot of times you ask the students can tell you a strategy that you haven't thought of. A lot of times I will ask the student before I present, before I go in to putting anything on the board, I would ask them, what do they think? How would you solve this? As soon as I have like 5 different strategies going on, I would solve it this way, solve it this way, I would solve it this way. I would send all those students to the board and have them solve the problems. We will all sit back and observe and see the diversity and the problem, the richness and the problem solving skills. And that alone lets students look like, wow, I didn't even know with so many different ways to do this problem. And that's the way I was teaching my girls, came in all the top positions in the math competition, teaching, letting them learn individually and then facilitating their learning where they are. Because you don't have to teach everything. Kids come with their own information. They just need you to tweak it and fix it somewhat. You got to go in because sometimes they stuck. And if you're able to understand that method and go in and fix it, you can help them become better at where they are in their stage of their developmental stages in math. Now, I'm about to wrap it up now. So parents and community members can support their children's success. How can the parents and community members support their children in success? Now, for the parents, you got to have math in everyday life. My husband and myself, we always talk about math. I have 3 sons that love math, so we would have, trivials. We would talk about fractions. There's so many different things you can do. Get an abacus for multiplication. Just talk about math. If you have, it's 0.6, bigger than, 1/3. Talk about it. Why is this? And then if they don't understand, give examples, have them compare it, and so on and so forth. Now, reading math related things. There's so many books that's related to math. Counting books, subtraction books. You can just read books that's related to math so they can see it's real world. Encouraging a growth mindset. With math, there's no limits. There's no reason you should be stuck and just feels that you're going to be stuck forever. Sometimes you might need some help to get over it. Sometimes you might need somebody else to get over it. Or sometimes you might need guided questions to get over it. Sometimes if someone asks you the right question, that'll help push your thinking forward and you'll get out of that stuck state. So you need to not be in a limited mindset. You need to be in a growth mindset when it comes to math because there's so many unlimited possibilities. And if you can't help your child maybe a sibling, maybe a family member, someone else can. You are not the be all, the end all be all. You know, don't feel bad that you might can't help your child at that particular point. That's okay. People want to struggle in different things. Just know that you reaching out to someone else is actually helping your child. You know, instead of your child being stuck and you being stuck, you saying, okay, I'm gonna put you with your aunt because your aunt can probably explain it better. That's you being proactive to help your child succeed no matter what it takes. So you don't put your ego in the way when it comes to your child. Step back, think about what I can do so my child can be successful, and give your child a chance of liking math. Because sometimes you don't like it. Don't put that on your child. It's not genetics, okay? It's not genetics, but it could be a generational curse if you feel this way and you put it on your child. It doesn't have to be, because math is individualized based on the person. And that's the beautiful thing about math. If your grandparents, your parents didn't get it, you still have an opportunity to get it, okay? Now providing resources. Like I said, you know, there's so many free resources on YouTube. I have a free parent website, you know, that'll be listed. There's a website called All This Math, and the brother, he's a brother, Akil Parker, and he has, you know, so many videos that actually break the math concept down, whereas though the parent can look at the video, then go back and help the child. You know, and he has also written a book that showed the parent how to teach math concepts so that they can help their child. It's all about community. And then also communicating with the teacher. Sometimes you have to ask the teacher about a strategy. How do I do this? Just put your ego out the way. When it comes to educating your child, your ego can stand in the way of their progress. It's not about you. It's about what your child need to be successful. So if your child doesn't want to come to you, that's okay. You know, I had moments with my children that want to come to me for math, you know, and I was shocked. You know, I was like, ah, you know. However, I my main goal is for them to get it regardless if it's me or anybody else. And I know that's what a good parent does. A good parent doesn't stay in the way of their child being successful. So I will move to the side so that my child can, you know, go ahead. And I'm okay with it, because everyone doesn't want to be taught by their parent, because there's some, you know, the personal connections and things like that. And I did a video on that also. Another thing. Now, last but not least, okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Last but not least, the community. What the community can do. The community can have math related events, mentors and volunteers. You know, teenagers can teach the elementary school kids, or people that have been previous teachers can come in, mentor, volunteer, promote positive attitudes towards math. Math is fun. We love math. You know, it is. It is. People need to see that side of math. Um, Math have to be fun and engaging. Someone be creative, understanding that, you know, it's not about memorization. However, once you do understand the concept of multiplication, memorization help once you understand the concept, because you want to be fast. Multiplication is um the key to being successful in mathematics. I learned my multiplication tables in second grade, been in competitions, been on TV, been in newspapers, taught students, taught teachers, you know, and so on and so forth. Now I, you know, help teachers pass the praxis math test so they can, and help nurses and so on and so forth. So it's very, very important to understand that. Being patient and supportive in the community, connecting with other parents. You know, just because you're not getting it, you might see another parent that might be like a math teacher, or, you know, someone that's good at math that can help the kids in the community. You know, just creating a positive, supportive environment overall for people to enjoy math is the key. Is the key. You know, so it is very important for your child to have confidence, because if you don't have confidence, you're gonna be scared. You're gonna be scared to try. And in math, you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to be one of the greats. Or in order to be good, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. You gotta go into it. Okay, I might make a couple of mistakes, but guess what? I'm gonna keep going. And that's the attitude that you have to have in mathematics. Okay. So Like I said before, everyone can be good in math. Now, it depends on who's teaching, facilitating the concepts of the math for the child to be successful in math. If the person doesn't have patience, if the person is not diverse in their strategies, it can be harmful to the person that needs help with the math. Remember, all children can learn math, but not all teachers can teach math. And based on that concept alone, if you're standing in the way of a child learning math, step to the side and get someone else to come in and help that child. Okay. Now, myself, I love math. I helped a lot of people with math. Like I said, I've taught decades, taught for decades. I used to teach in the Baltimore City public school system. I taught in Islamic schools and charter schools, and I taught in different schools. Okay. And myself, um, now, I grew up in the Baltimore City housing project. So I grew up in the hood, in the hood with my social economics was, I was considered, I was in poverty, we didn't have much money. The schools were bad. There were limited learning, but I learned my multiplication in second grade, and that was one of my strengths. So if I can do it coming from where I came from, being a female, living in the hood, Baltimore City, and you've been hearing about the Baltimore City stats, if I can do it, anybody else can do it. You just got to have the courage to do it. You got to have confidence to do it. And you got to know that you can do it. And math doesn't have a particular look, no particular race, no particular culture, anybody can learn math, but it does help if the person that's teaching the math or facilitating the learning is patient and is very diverse in trying to do whatever it takes for the child to learn. And sometimes you might not know what it takes. And sometimes you might have to ask someone else for help when it comes to that. But math doesn't define intellect or potential. So, it doesn't matter if you're intelligent or this, it's not defined by that. However, you can have the right resources and you can have someone that facilitate the learning. And then if you have that, anybody can achieve success in math. Anybody can achieve success in math. So let's get it. Let's get math. Assalamu alaikum.